lot of people don't like to talk about their failed companies or failed businesses, but I think you can learn a ton, probably just as much as a successful company, you can learn a ton from a failed company or a failed business. So in this video, I'm gonna share with you why I bought a trucking company, how much money we were making when things were fantastic, and then eventually what led to us to shut down the company. But before we get into the video, please like and subscribe to my channel because every single week I'm coming out with new videos about my companies, what I have going on, and my real estate investments. And hopefully help save you guys a ton of time and a ton of blood, sweat, and tears that you are putting into these new companies you're starting. Trucking and the transportation industry is one of those industries that you think would be recession-proof, right? Because no matter what's going on in the economy or the market, everybody still needs stuff moved around the country. Well, not in this instance. For us, our trucking company, due to the recession, actually got hit pretty hard, and I'm gonna tell you about that in this video. All right, so the trucking company actually began because one of my investors with Martel Turnkey, he was actually lending me money. He was a private money lender. He called me one day and he wanted me to give his money back, but I never had a private money lender call me to get their money back. So this was highly unusual to say the least. The reason he needed the money back because he was gonna buy more trucks is what he told me. I'm a business guy. I've been in business since I was 7 years old. So my business senses started tingling at this point. So when he requested his money back from us, I decided to shoot him an email back and ask to get on a phone call so we can discuss more about his business that he was starting and where he was gonna go and buy more trucks. After talking to him, I quickly found out that he was working full-time and running this trucking company on the side. Now this got me thinking. The person I was talking to on the phone had been working in the trucking industry for the last 30 years and was extremely experienced. And when I was talking to him about him starting his new trucking company, I thought it could be interesting for me to invest money into his business and maybe partner up and do some business together because he had a ton of experience and he wanted to run this trucking company full-time. And that's something that I look for with people that I partner with and start new businesses with or start new ventures with. I want them to be entrepreneurs and I want them to have that experience of growing or scaling a company. So I went to him and pitched to him essentially that, hey, I can help you leave your current job so that you can focus on this trucking company full-time. It's gonna need your full-time effort for you to focus on this trucking company if we wanna make it successful, but you can't do that with a full-time job. Like he was working from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. every single day. It's impossible to run a side business or side company while you're working that much at your current job. We started the business in late 2020 and right out of the gates, there was a ton of complications with the business. It was me, my dad, my investor, and my investor's partner. Great, 4 investors, right? Well, not exactly. My private money investor was going to be like the CEO, COO, running all the operations. His partner was going to be more doing the truck maintenance, truck management, managing all the trucks, and really be like the boots on the ground person for all the assets that we had. My dad and I were gonna help set up the systems, the bookkeeping, the accounting, getting marketing done for the company to help the company expand and grow. But very, very early on, my investor's partner wasn't really holding up his end of the bargain. He wasn't really going to the trucks. He wasn't really putting too much time in. He had a bunch of other side businesses and side hustles that he would rather focus on versus actually focusing on this company that he was a part of. So with that being said, we had to go through this whole thing to pay him out. Once we got him paid out, there was only 3 partners in the business. My investor, my dad, and myself. And we all had an equal ownership of the company. We all owned 33.33% of the business. And this is quite normal for business folks. Sometimes partners don't turn out that great, hence you have to buy them out. Sometimes you may even be in business with that person for many, many years, and eventually you just want to go separate ways, you buy the other party out of that company. And it's not the end of the world when one partner wants to get out of a company and you need to buy them out. The business can continue to run, it can continue to have success, even if that person was to leave the company. When you start a trucking company, it is very difficult. The reason why is you have to go buy all the trucks, get the contracts, and find drivers on top of it all. Drivers make an average of over $100,000 a year, and trucks are a ton of money as well. A good truck will run you anything from $120,000 to $150,000 for a truck that's in good condition with less than 300,000 miles. And on top of it, the most difficult thing is getting trucking insurance, especially if you're a new trucking provider. Getting trucking insurance is very, very expensive. It can cost $10,000 a month per truck. And we had 5 of them. $50,000 a month in trucking insurance. And that's why, no wonder, despite the demand, many trucking companies go out of business. And that is exactly what happened to us. Like mine. Like mine. Due to everything going on with the current economy, we had to shut it down. So what happened? It isn't just a problem with us or our company in particular, it's the entire trucking industry. And one of the reasons we had to shut down that trucking company was because of the upcoming recession. And the reason why is because what happens when you're in a recession is people start buying less stuff because they need more money or they want to keep more money under their pillowcase in case of something bad happens. For example, we had a contract with Forever 21. If people are buying less clothing and spending less money, Forever 21 then doesn't need to go and stock its shelves. They don't need to move as much merchandise around the country because their inventory is sitting on the shelves longer. If Forever 21 doesn't need that much inventory coming in, then they don't need to ship that much inventory to the store. If they don't ship that much inventory to the store, they don't need to hire as many truckers to move their loads and inventory around the country. When that happens in the trucking business and you're going through a recession, the trucking companies begin to make less money. Now you also have to understand that the trucking industry for the past 2 to 3 years has been absolutely nuts. Because of this, a lot of people have entered into the trucking industry like us, which has led to a huge increase in competition. But now since there's a recession, it has completely turned the other direction where it's super hard to find steady loads that are paying a good rate. There's less demand for these things now, so they can pay less money and people are willing to take less money just to do the loads. So it's a supply and demand issue that's going on now with the trucking industry. There's a very high supply of trucking companies ready to go and do the loads, but there's very little demand for people to go and move those loads like there was 12 months ago or 24 months ago. But there's the same supply of drivers that are still driving, still sitting, still waiting to get their next load. So pretty much then it just becomes a game of which driver is willing to make the least amount of money or have way less overhead to be able to go and make money and do those loads because there's not many loads available. And for a business seeking profit and looking to scale and expand, it just didn't make any sense at all for us to continue in that business. Now, the next reason we shut down the trucking company was feasibility. In the trucking business, there's a lot of drivers who are self-employed. They have their own license, they have their own insurance. It's just one guy with one truck, unlike a trucking business where there are 5 guys and 5 trucks, a general manager, 15 trailers, a CEO, and investors. And it should also come as no surprise that 90% of this industry is self-employed drivers. So when the going gets tough in any kind of business or any kind of industry, you really have to compare yourself with the competition. When 90% of the competition can beat you because they are self-employed, it doesn't really make sense to continue. And some industries are a little bit different where a bigger company, because you have employees and contracts and all that kind of stuff, you can weather a storm a lot better. But in this industry, it's completely reversed where actually the self-employed drivers, which is 90% of the total workforce, actually can weather the storm better than a company can. So for our trucking company, in order for us to make any kind of profit, we had to make at least $6,000 per week per truck. We would then use that money to pay expenses, employees, all that kind of stuff. So we knew we had to weather a storm, but we had no idea how long this storm would go on for. 2 years or 3 years, we really had no idea how long this recession would last. So in the end, shutting down the business made more sense than trying to keep things afloat. Now don't get me wrong, it wasn't all bad. At one point, things with the business were actually going really, really well. And we actually got this lower insurance rate, which brought our rate per truck from 10,000 bucks a month down to like $3,000 a month per truck. And once we finally got that new insurance premium, we thought finally we were gonna save so much money, we can now go and get new loads in and start cranking the process. We also got a guaranteed contract with Forever 21 at $6K per week. So we were like, finally, we're good. We're rock solid. We can now just go and make money like clockwork and start adding more trucks and more drivers to the company. And we were so excited that we actually shut off our other contracts with other companies that we had to move all of our trucks over to Forever 21 because it was going to be a guaranteed load every single week. So we canceled the trucks. We moved the trucks over to Forever 21. We were starting to get the trucks ready to ship them out to Texas where Forever 21 needed the trucks. And they dropped their rate from $6K a week to $5K a week. And I know it seems unfair, but there was nothing that we could do. They started reducing their prices because they didn't need as many loads moved every single week because like I told you, the recession was happening and people were buying less stuff at Forever 21 and many other retailers. Due to the pandemic, there was a ton of new drivers and new trucking companies that hit the market because there was a huge demand and people were really paying a premium to get their stuff moved. To take advantage of these exorbitant prices, brand new trucking fleets flooded the market. Almost 195,000 new carriers have entered the market since July of 2020. Just like us. This increased the competition and destabilized the industry. And lastly, gas prices have been increasing a ton and drivers are still in high demand, which doesn't make sense. Lots of people are still getting paid $100,000 a year to drive their trucks. Yes, I agree, this might be feasible for old and well-established companies, but for a new company like us, we just couldn't afford to pay people $100,000 a year to drive a truck. And with the rising gas prices, things look financially bad for the company. So that's why we decided to shut it down. I know many business owners don't like to really talk about what goes wrong. You only hear about the things that actually go right. So I wanted to make this video to share with you the companies that are going wrong and companies that were shutting down as well. And I think I covered everything, but if you have any more questions, please leave them down in the comments below or hit me up on Instagram. I would love to message you and chat with you. Please hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell icon as well so you know when new videos are coming up, and I'll see you next week.